Today we're going to learn how to take that initial sketch of your Greek amphora and etch it into your scratchboard. Before you begin, make sure your drawing is fully complete and that you filled in your entire space. Next, you're going to take your scratchboard and lay your initial drawing directly on top of it. We're going to take a small piece of tape and attach your drawing to your scratchboard by lining it up right at the very top. And we're going to hinge that tape over, so lay it on one side and wrap it around to the back side. That way, we can now take your drawing and flip it up to see your scratchboard underneath. Next, we're going to take that initial drawing and flip it over to the back side so your scratchboard is facing the table. Then, we're going to take a piece of chalk and use the belly side of the chalk to rub the entire back side of your drawing. Keep your fingers on the outside of your chalk to kind of help support your paper. Your paper is very fragile here, so if you are too extreme and you're pushing down too much and going too fast, it may rip on you. So go easy on it and help support your paper again by putting your fingers across the paper. Now, if your paper does rip while you're doing this, don't worry, it's not the end of the world. You don't have to start over. Simply take a small piece of tape and cover the rip, either on the front side or the back side, and resume chalking. Once you're done chalking, you're going to flip your paper back over, so it's laying back on top of your scratchboard. And now we're going to take a pencil, and you want to go through and you're going to trace over your entire amphora, design and story. Simply draw right on top of those lines. You don't have to push too hard here. But what this is doing is transferring your chalk onto your scratchboard. That way we have a guideline of what to scratch later. So if you want to take a peek, you can see our pencil has pushed that chalk right onto our scratchboard. So it's important that you trace over all your lines. That way you know exactly what to etch out when you get to the scratchboard. Once you're done tracing your design, you're going to flip your paper up and over, and you'll notice that your image has transferred directly onto your scratchboard. So now to actually get the gold to show through, we're going to be using what are called scratch pens to help us etch that design out. Now I have a whole bunch of different types of scratch pens. Some are a little bit more sharp, while others are more dull, and it's up to you to figure out which works best. Everyone has their own preference, so just choose one that feels the most comfortable to you. But what we need to do now is etch out all of our lines that we transferred with the chalk. So let's say this is my line. You want to hold your scratch pen just like a pencil, kind of at an angle. And then also on the blade part, you'll notice there's this curvy part, and you want the curve to be pointing upwards. We're simply going to take our scratch pen, again holding it at an angle, and trace on top of our line, just like we would with a pencil. Notice, however, how I'm rotating the paper with the curve. I'm not moving my hand in any awkward positions. Just have the paper do the work for you here. Don't be afraid to go back into your line to make any necessary adjustments. Kind of clean up the edges of your line so it's nice and smooth. It's important to make sure that your pen is always at an angle as you're etching. You don't want to have it straight up and down, because if you do, you'll have a very thin line where you can actually rip off part of the gold. Also, if you're pushing down way too hard, you'll notice that gold is going to be scratched off along with a black layer on top. Go easy on it with your muscles. You simply want to scratch the surface very lightly, and if it's not working, adjust the angle that you're holding your pen to help. Make sure as you're etching you're not scratching away from yourself. You always want to pull the pen towards you to get the nice gold surface to show through. Okay, showtime. Remember, keep that pen at an angle, and you're going to be scratching towards yourself. simply trace over all of your lines by lightly scratching the surface. Again, too much muscle is going to destroy your whole paper, so go easy. If it's not working, like I said, adjust the angle of your pen. We're going to trace over all of your entire lines, and if any of those lines get erased as you're going, don't be afraid to flip your paper back over and retrace it so that chalk pushes back down and you have something more to trace on top of. Now, if you feel like your M4 is missing a little bling, don't be afraid to go back in and scratch out entire sections or shapes so we see more flashy gold. When scratching out larger sections, you may have the issue of some areas just not wanting to scratch. Simply take your pen and go in the opposite direction, and those areas should disappear. Your last step is to put in 2 lines at the very bottom of your amphora to show that it is sitting on a table and not floating in space. And that's it.